Yep. Good afternoon. Welcome to the vehicle sales, leases, and rentals session of the Jamestown Business Reopening webinar series. I'm Crystal Serdick. I'm the Director of Development for the City of Jamestown. And I want to just thank you for being here. We want to thank our local partners, the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce, and the Small Business Development Center for their continued guidance and partnership. There's a lot of information available on all of our websites, and you can contact any one of these agencies as well as our department with any questions that you may have. We put this webinar series together in hopes of helping you navigate all of the rapid changes that have been coming down from the state with regard to the phased reopening. And we are hoping that we can just kind of distill some of that information for you. So this webinar series will be available on our website going forward. So you'll be able to kind of revisit at any point in time. Introducing just recently this past week, Jamestown Renaissance Corporation is introducing some new programs that we want to make you aware of. They're matching grant programs. There's an urban e-commerce grant, which might be the most pertinent to this sector. This grant can be used for anything from website development services, online marketing consulting services, and other technology to help you support your business. So that's something that you might be interested in checking out. Also, in urban dining and parklets are some other grant opportunities through JRC. So there's contact information there. This, like I said, this slideshow will be available on the website for you as well. And with that, I think I'll introduce Seth Picarillo, who is presenting today, and go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, everyone. My name is Seth Picarillo. I'm a consultant that's working with the Department of Development for the City of Jamestown. Very happy to be talking to everyone today. We are going to go through some specific guidance that pertains to your industry from New York State. We are here to help you, not just today, but if you have questions, if you need help completing your business safety plan, which we're going to get into later, please reach out to the Department of Development. We are here to help. We are hosting this as a series. Today, we are talking about vehicle sales, leases, and rentals. We're going to continue on this conversation as reopening in phases is fluid to make sure that business owners have the most up-to-date information as they restart or sustain their business. There are assistance programs that are out there. New York State a week ago announced the New York Forward Loan Fund program, which is designed to help small businesses. The U.S. Small Business Administration has the widest range of financial opportunities, and with the Congress and Senate passing basically the phase 2 of CARES Act, there's going to be more funding resources. There's going to be more PPP information. So we suggest that you take that link and take a look at it. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce doesn't necessarily have funding, but it has a really good menu of resources and best practices that make sense for any business to take a look at. The safety protocols and guidelines from New York State are not just specific to small businesses. The city of Jamestown is dealing with it as well. They have created a Restart Jamestown plan, which is reviewable at the city's website, and we suggest that you take a look at that as well. So we are now in phase 2. Now what? That's what today's conversation is about, getting your industry ready to reopen safely and as efficiently as possible. And we know what our next steps are from New York State. And that's what we are going to be talking about in detail today. So the first 2 things we know we need to do are to complete our business safety plan, which we'll talk about. We need to affirm our understanding with the new interim safety guidelines from New York State. And number 3 and number 4, we need to review that plan with our employees, because 2 things. It's going to impact their daily life and their shifts. And we want to make sure that they feel as safe as possible coming back into work. And we need to make that plan accessible to the customers. It has been a confusing couple of months. It has been a concerning couple of months. We know there's going to be gray areas, and we know that the guidelines that have been handed down by New York State are going to make your business different and at times more difficult. But what we know we have to do is affirm our understanding of those guidelines and then create our business safety plan. The best way that I can take a look at this is an open book test from New York State. We know what they're looking for. We know that we have to do it to be in compliance. Speaking from experience, my family has a small business, and we were able to implement the changes to protocols and complete the business safety plan in about an hour and a half. And it took us about 30 minutes to outfit the retail store with signs and notices. So it's doable. It's going to be complicated, but we know what our next steps are. ForwardNY.gov is the clearinghouse for all of the information that we're going to talk about today and that you need. We suggest that you visit this website on an ongoing basis. And if you have not done your business safety plan and your affirmation, if you're looking for when you should do these things, it's immediately. If you are already open and you don't have these documents completed, you're putting yourself at liability. So if you're looking for when, the answer is right now. There's other resources on the website. Like for instance, the phase 2 opening is based on the Western New York region's meeting of health metrics like available hospital beds, testing, reportable cases. If those numbers were to change in a negative direction, it would also impact the phase reopening of businesses. So while you don't have to take a look at this dashboard every day, I would suggest that you check into it on a weekly basis, see where our region is at. If you're uncertain of where your business falls as far as industry or phase, or you have a colleague or a friend of yours that has the same type of question, ForwardNY.gov has a business reopening tool to look up where your business falls. And so we suggest that you use that as well. So the most important part of forward.ny.gov is the safety interim guidance and the affirmation link and the safety plan template to complete those first 2 tasks on our to-do list. It's broken down in a very helpful way. There's summary guidance that applies to everyone. There's detailed guidance that is specific to your industry and phase. Then there's that business safety plan template, which is a writable PDF. You don't have to use it, but it is set up to give the state the information that they're looking for. It's easy to use, save, and print. So my suggestion would be to use that template. This is not just about meeting government guidelines. In order for the local economy to reopen successfully, you need to build employee trust and customer confidence. If we don't have those 2 things, people aren't going to feel comfortable going back to work or patronizing your business, regardless of what the industry is. So by showing that you have strong safety protocols, you are telling your employees that you value their safety and you're doing everything you can in such an uncertain situation. And you're telling your customers that it is safe as possible to shop in your store. So think of it that way. It's not just about doing what New York State says, it's about building employee trust and customer confidence. Just as a quick refresher, phase 1 opened in May, and that meant construction, agriculture, forestry, fishing and hunting, retail limited to curbside and in-store pickup and drop-off, manufacturing and wholesale. Phase 2, which is upon us now, is professional services, retail, administrative support, real estate, rental and leasing, and as a specific part of retail, vehicle sales, leases, and rentals. Phase 3 is not reopened yet. While restaurants can do outdoor dining and pickup, traditional indoor restaurants are not open yet. In phase 4, arts, entertainment, recreation, and education is not open yet. The anticipation originally was going to be 2 weeks between phases. We've seen in certain situations that'd be quicker. That's not certain, but it's something that we can continue to check back on the state's website for information. Whether or not you have been in operation, never stopped operating, or getting ready to reopen now, you have to complete the same safety affirmation and plan that we're going to be talking about today. It is for everyone, regardless of if you are reopening right now or if you have been open. Every industry is different. Every business is different. As always, you should create safety protocols that are specific to your layout or your industry, but you have to make sure that you meet the state guidance that has been put forth in response to COVID-19. That is our #1 objective as far as being compliant with New York State. So I'm going to go over the specific guidance for your industry. If you go to the Forward website, click on phase 2, you scroll down, you click on vehicle sales, leases, rental guidelines for employers, employees. It's going to take you to this website, this page that has mandatory and recommended best practices. It's usually never a good idea to just have text on a slide for a PowerPoint, but this PowerPoint is a resource for you. We're going to go through every mandatory and recommended best practice point by point, that you have an understanding of them, because that is exactly what you're affirming to the state, that you understand, and that what you are creating your business safety plan upon. So we're going to go through it. So starting with physical distancing, here's what's mandatory for your industry. Ensure 6 feet of distance between individuals unless the safety of the core activity requires a shorter distance. You're going to hear me say 6 feet probably 30 times in the next couple of minutes. What we know is that distance is what's most important to the state, and creating is that level of distance whenever possible and feasible. Reduce interpersonal contact and congregation through methods such as limiting in-person presence to only personnel necessary for the current tasks, and or adjusting retail hours to spread employee and customer traffic over a longer period of time. For a vehicle sale, lease, or rental activity, the workforce and customer presence must be limited to 50% of the maximum occupancy for a particular area as set by the certificate of occupancy, inclusive of customers who must maintain 6 feet of space from others, and in all cases wear acceptable face coverings. Prohibit the use of confined spaces like elevators and vehicles by more than one individual at a time, unless the individuals are wearing face coverings. If occupied by more than one person, keep occupancy under 50% of maximum capacity. If an employee accompanies a customer on a test drive, the employee must sit in the seat with the furthest possible distance from the customer and wear appropriate face coverings. Ensure that the waiting area allows customers to adhere to social distancing rules. Again, that spacing of 6 feet apart. Some recommended best practices. Limit in-person presence of staff to only those employees necessary. Modify use and or restrict the number of workstations and seating areas so that staff members are at least 6 feet apart in all directions and are not sharing stations or seats without cleaning and disinfection between use. Encourage customers to conduct viewings, test drives, and other rentals by appointment only. Modify showroom and retail layouts so that employees and customers are at least 6 feet apart in all directions when the employees are working and customers are browsing, unless a physical barrier is in place. Reduce bidirectional foot traffic by using tape and signs with arrows throughout the showroom and parking lot. Provide clearly designated entrances and separate exits. Prepare to queue customers outside while still maintaining physical distance. Stagger schedules for employees to observe social distancing. Allow customers to conduct unaccompanied test drives. Facilitate curbside pickup and drop off where possible. Limit the number of vehicles for viewing and renting in enclosed spaces. Minimize touching vehicles unless on a test drive or renting the vehicle space. Something to think about. Most showrooms have vehicles in it that take up space. All the state guidance is talking about doing things in open air whenever possible. It could make sense then to put those vehicles back on the lot and then to create more space in your showroom. Protective equipment, here's what's mandatory. Ensure that each customer entering the store is wearing a face covering, provided that the customer is over the age of 2 and able to medically tolerate wearing such covering. Provide workers with an acceptable face covering at no cost to the worker, and have an adequate supply of coverings in case of replacement. Acceptable face coverings include, but are not limited to, homemade sew and quick cut or bandana, surgical masks, and face shields. Face coverings must be cleaned or replaced after use and may not be shared. Employers must train employees on how to put on, take off, clean, discard PPE, including face coverings. Employees must wear face coverings when they are within 6 feet of customers or coworkers at any time they interact with customers. Limit the sharing of objects as well as the touching of shared surfaces like electronics and keys, or require individuals to wear gloves when in contact with shared objects or frequently touch surfaces, or require the individuals to sanitize or hand wash their hands before and after contact. For test drive of vehicles requiring more than one person, all individuals must be wearing a face covering. Cleaning and hygiene, here's what's mandatory. Adhere to hygiene, cleaning, and disinfection requirements from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the Department of Health, and maintain cleaning logs on site to document date, time, and scope of cleaning. Provide and maintain hand hygiene stations on site, including hand washing with soap, water, and paper towels, as well as an alcohol-based hand sanitizer containing 60% or more of alcohol for areas where hand washing is not feasible. Hand sanitizer must be placed throughout the location. Provide and encourage individuals to use cleaning and disinfection supplies before and after use of shared and frequently touched surfaces, followed by hand hygiene. Ensure distance rules are adhered to in restrooms by reducing capacity where feasible. Regularly clean and disinfect the location or facility and conduct more frequent cleaning and disinfection for high-risk areas used by many individuals like restrooms and for frequently touched surfaces. Clean and disinfect every vehicle, interior and exterior, and keys prior to customer picking up or test driving and after customer drops off the vehicle. If cleaning and disinfecting products or the act of cleaning and disinfecting causes safety hazards or degrades the material, put in place hand hygiene stations, supply gloves, and/or limit the number of individuals touching the material. Cleaning and disinfecting of facilities, shared surfaces, and other areas, as well as shared objects, must be performed at least as often as workers change workstations or customers come in contact with vehicles using Department of Environmental Conservation products identified by the Environmental Protection Agency as effective against COVID-19. Prohibit shared food and beverages like buffet-style meals or pizza at lunch. Place receptacles around the building for disposal of soiled items, including PPE. Close all amenities, including self-serve bars, vending machines, cafes, and dining rooms. Communication, here's what's mandatory. Affirm you have reviewed and understand the state-issued industry guidelines, and then you will implement them. And that's what today's call is all about. Post signage throughout the facility to remind individuals to adhere to proper hygiene, social distancing rules, appropriate use of PPE, and cleaning and disinfecting protocols. Develop a communication plan for employees and customers that include applicable instructions, training, signage, and consistent means to provide individuals with information. If an employee tests positive for COVID-19, you must immediately notify state and local health departments and cooperate with contact tracing efforts, including notification of potential contacts who had close contact with the worker while maintaining confidentiality as required by the state and federal laws and regulations. Conspicuously post completed safety plans on site. Here are recommended best practices for communication. Develop web pages, text and email groups, and social media campaigns to provide information to staff and customers. Exchange paperwork via electronic transmission and communication with customers by phone, email, or video conferencing when practical. Maintaining a contiguous log of every person, including workers and visitors who may have had close contact with other individuals at the gathering site or area, including deliveries that are performed with appropriate PPE, excluding deliveries that are performed with appropriate PPE or through contactless means. The log is not required to maintain a list of customers. Screening. Here's what's mandatory. Employees who are sick should stay home or return home if they become ill at work. You need to implement a mandatory health screening assessment like a questionnaire that can be done at home or temperature check at the facility for employees, contractors, and other visitors, asking about 1, COVID-19 symptoms in the past 14 days. 2, COVID-19 tests in the past 14 days that turned up positive. And/or 3, close contact with a confirmed or suspected COVID-19 case in the past 14 days. Responses must be reviewed and documented daily. Employees who screen positive for COVID-19 symptoms should be sent home to contact their healthcare provider for medical assessment and a COVID-19 test. If the employee tests positive or does not receive the test, the employee may only return to work after completing a 14-day self-quarantine. Employees who are present with no symptoms but have tested positive in the past 14 days may return to work after completing a 14-day quarantine. Employees who have had close contact with a person with COVID-19 but are not experiencing any symptoms should inform their employer and may be able to work with additional precautions, including regular monitoring for symptoms and temperature, required face coverings at all times, and appropriate social distancing from others. A person who screens positive for COVID-19 symptoms should not be allowed to enter the location and should be sent home with instructions to contact their healthcare provider for assessment and testing. Screeners should be trained by individuals familiar with CDC, DOH, and OSHA protocols and wear appropriate PPE, including at a minimum, a face covering. Should have a plan for cleaning, disinfection, and contact tracing in the event of a positive case. the best practices. Customers cannot be mandated to complete a health screen or provide contact information, but may be encouraged to do so. That can be as simple as a customer log in the showroom. That's something that you could do, but you can't require it. Encourage customers to provide contact information so that they can be logged and contacted for contact tracing if necessary. Perform screenings remotely by telephone or electronic survey before people arrive to the extent possible. Coordinate screening to prevent people from intermingling in close contact with each other prior to the completion of the screening. So I know that's a lot of text that we just went through, but that is what makes up the interim guidance for vehicle sales, leases, and rentals during COVID-19. And that is what you are being asked and required to affirm your understanding of. So when you're on the Forward website, all the information that I just went over is put into this document, and then you are asked to affirm your understanding of it. As you scroll down that page, it'll take you to the link at the end of it that asks you again to affirm understanding. It asks you for some information about your industry, your business name and contact information. It's not asking for anything like tax ID numbers or anything more than your contact information and your business name and the industry that you're in. You then hit submit, and that affirmation goes to the state and it's logged there. Your next step is completing the NY Forward Safety Plan. On that same website, you've got the template that's right here. It takes all that information that I went over and it creates it into a plan form that on the very basic things, like that 6 feet distance that we keep talking about, it'll be check boxes. In other areas, it's going to ask you for specific text on how you plan to implement safety protocols. Like I said, this is about an hour-long task. At the end of it, you print it out, and that's what you keep at your place of business. That is not submitted to the state. The affirmation goes to the state. The business plan stays at your location. That might change at some point. Business plans, safety plans might be reviewable, but as of right now, affirmation goes to the state, safety plan stays at your business. So we know what our next steps are in this open book test. After we do the affirmation, which is step number 1, you complete your business safety plan. You file a readily accessible plan at your business. You post some type of signage that says, we have a safety plan here, to make sure that your customers know that you are taking this seriously and that you are compliant. And then schedule meetings to discuss how this plan is going to work for your employees. Really make them understand and get their input on, this is what our shifts are going to look differently. Here's the expectation in between customers, especially for vehicles. Here's what we're doing with every vehicle after a test drive. These employees are going to have to execute the plan and they need to know what it is. Just a suggestion, assign a COVID-19 response person. There's going to be the logs, there's going to be updating employees. In a best case scenario, your COVID-19 response person would be someone who works with HR issues already, and that was part of drafting your plan. Keep communicating with your employees as much as you can through text, email. Make sure that they understand what you're doing as far as safety protocols, because in all reality, the people that are going to have issues with compliance are businesses where employees or customers reach out to a level of government and say, I don't think that they have a safety plan. It seems like they aren't following any protocol. So just keep that in mind. And then as you go, if you see protocols that would make sense in addition to the state guidelines that would keep your place of business safe, absolutely take a look at those as well. We want to, again, thank our local partners, the Chautauqua County IDA, the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce, and the Jamestown Small Business Development Center. Again, the Jamestown Department of Development is here to help. We hope that you reach out to us if you need more information about any of these guidelines, or if you need help completing your business safety plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Thank you for all those who are participating and navigating this challenging time. This website will be available on our city website under the Jamestown Restart tab shortly. Have a good day.